to come into this live for this message that I have for you guys. Finally, at least 10 people in here. I'm just gonna end the live. That is Intuition Angel here. Hi everyone. I'm just gonna wait for a few more people to come in and then I'll start with the message. Hello. Just waiting for the room to fill up a little bit more, so that I can speak my message tonight. So as you guys see the caption, it's labeled Toxicity versus the Flawed. Alright, now this is very important for most people. The screen is just red, is that right? Yeah, I'm not showing myself right now. I'm actually stuffing my face with food, so just gonna try to give you guys a message. So toxic people versus the flawed people. Don't get it mixed up. A lot of toxic people like to call people with flaws toxic. And that pretty much bothers me. Like, I can't stand someone who, is extremely toxic. They mess up people's lives. They abuse people mentally, emotionally, physically. And then they want to turn around and call the flawed person toxic. Now let's talk about flaws. Flaws are something as simple as, being too lazy to make your bed up every morning, or taking out the trash, or maybe your flaws are maybe your hair just doesn't sit right on your head, or something like that, right? You could be a couch potato, right? That's a flaw, all right? It's not toxicity. I don't care what nobody says. You could be like the sloppiest person at home, right? Let's say a nice person is really nice in public to everybody that she sees and she meets. But then you go to her house and it looks ran through, messed up. Okay? That person is flawed, not toxic. Okay? Now, a toxic person will blame everyone in the world for her flaws, right? Or his flaws. Now, that's the difference. A flawed person doesn't even think to put their flaws on someone else or project energy onto someone else, right? But a toxic person will. They don't even like facing themselves at all. And it gets flipped. They say, oh, you're toxic because you don't clean up after yourself, or you're toxic, or something like that. They'll blame you for every little thing that they know that they do too, but you're just a flawed person. Another characteristic of a flawed person is a flawed person can change their ways. Toxic people don't change. All right. Yeah. So toxic people cannot change. Flawed people can change. Everyone is flawed, by the way. Nobody is perfect. Let's get that out the way. Because when you're dealing with narcissists, they will try to make it seem like all your flaws are the reason why you're not in a relationship, why you didn't get chosen for that job, why this didn't happen, why that didn't happen. But the truth is, you're already better than that toxic person. Because you've already learned the lesson that I'm not going to project everything that's wrong with me onto another person. Instead of projecting, I'm just going to look in the mirror and talk to myself about my flaws and try to fix them or pray. Not a toxic person. They feel bad about their flaws and then they go drink forever, or they need to smoke all the time, or they got to put their hands on somebody or something like that. That's the difference between a toxic person and a flawed person. Okay? Because narcissists like to make it seem like, well, the toxic person always likes to make it seem like, you know, if you have flaws and you're not perfect, and then you're not worthy for the narcissist, right? It's a lie. Because everybody has flaws. And beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So, you know, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Because beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But a toxic person don't see that. They just care about what they want all the time. Another thing that a toxic person likes to do is that, especially in the spiritual community, during quarantine, like around this time last year, there was tons of witches sitting at home not knowing what to do with themselves, so they decided to play with dark magic. Now, a year later, they have to actually live up to what the heck they were doing last year. And now they're acting rampant. They're getting tired. They don't want to do this anymore. They think it's not fun because they think spirituality is supposed to be a trend. They're waiting for the next trend to roll around. Okay, and then they're going to hop on that bandwagon. You got to pay attention to people because it's almost as if they try to switch everything around. I had someone accuse me of being toxic, but I'm a flawed person who has a bunch of flaws, tons of flaws, just like a normal person, but I will never project my insecurities onto other people. It just doesn't do anybody any good. So when you're toxic, it's just like you don't see that though. You don't get karma. You don't understand how karma is supposed to go. So you're going to continue to push all your insecurities on someone else. And that's not cool. So I just wanted to give you guys a little quick message. You're not toxic. You're just flawed. Okay? There's absolutely nothing wrong with you because nobody is perfect. Everyone is flawed. If anything, that toxic person is jealous of your flaws. That's the joke. So don't feel down and out when you catch someone who may look better than you, drive in a better car than you, live in a better house than you. Try to project all what you're doing wrong onto you. Because if they were truly happy, they wouldn't need to do all of that. You understand? Like, if they were truly happy, they wouldn't need to project all that stuff on you. Like I said on my community board, there's people out here who have more than you, and they're still mad. You know what I mean? So, you guys just gotta meditate more. Don't tell them to meditate because they don't want to hear that. They're still living off the gas that they were living on during this time last year, right? Where everyone's sitting at home because of quarantine, so they start playing with black magic spells and tarot. Now we're a year later, and all of those witches, quote unquote witches, are gone, or they're falling off. Because this spirituality stuff is not a trend. You can't just like say, oh, I'm spiritual because I'm not at work anymore. No. You can't do that. The whole purpose of quarantine, by the way, in a spiritual sense, was to keep people at home so that they can actually sit down and think for a minute. At least that's what it was for me. I was working 45 hours a week in a factory before I started my YouTube channel. And I always listened to tarot. But I officially started my YouTube channel when Spirit actually gave me the free will to sit at home and do whatever I please. right? And I'm like, I want to get a hobby. And I've always watched tarot. My mother has done tarot. My great grandmother does tarot. So I said, I'm going to do tarot. Didn't exactly think that it was going to be beneficial to me or be able to put food on my table, but it actually is. It's a blessing. But like on the flip side, there's practitioners, there's black magic, witches who do spells, who were doing spells all last year during quarantine, and now they're burnt out. And if they keep doing the spells, they're going to be burnt out again. They think it's a game. All right? And they're toxic. They don't even know who to do, they don't even know who to do the spells for anymore. They're just doing it for the money. Off rip. So I just wanted to clear that up with you guys. There is a difference between a toxic person and a flawed person. They don't go together. They are not cut from the same cloth. One can heal, the other one can't. I don't care what nobody says. Narcissists can never heal. They just adapt better. They catch their prey in a different way. And they become clever. I don't want to make this a big narcissistic counseling type live, because there's so many other people you can watch for that. However, I do plan on, furthering my education when it comes to counseling, things like that. But however, it's, we deal with this every day. Your boss will come in here and nag at you about the smallest little thing. Or your spouse will nag at you about the smallest little thing. Or your mother, your father. And it's usually always aimed towards the person that isn't hurting anybody. So I wanted to clear that up for you guys, alright? So to help you guys feel a little bit better about that, because bullies are harsh, okay? But the great side about that is that they have no intentions on changing, and you do. Also, you shouldn't have anything to prove to a toxic person. I don't care what nobody says. You stay yourself. If you have anything to prove it to yourself. You don't have to sit there and prove anything to a narcissist, because they'll always move the goalpost or switch up the rules. As soon as you figure out what the rules are, they switch the rules up. That's how a narcissist is. A toxic person is. If it's not, let's say you're with a narcissistic husband, he'll talk about, oh, you don't even have all the kids ready. The kids' hair isn't done. And then you get the kids' hair done. Now they're talking about the house. You clean up the house. Now they're talking about the money. You get the money together. Now they got to figure out something else. It's really bad. It's really bad. And I just want to let you guys know that there's just a huge difference. Okay? And nobody's perfect. Alright guys, so I hope you got this message the way that it was supposed to be delivered. I hope you guys are having a great night. And I will see you guys in the next reading. Thank you. Namaste. Bye.